Hey guys, this is Jonah from Genmac. We'll go through the use of the touch screen. This is the main screen. You have your start, stop, a couple other things here we'll talk about later. As far as cutting exact weight portions, the operator just needs to use this page for normal running, and then when they're going to switch sizes, they're going to push next, and they're going to choose which size portion they want to cut, and you'll see the indicator light show what size you're currently cutting. We're doing an 8 ounce now, and then they need to decide what type of product they're going to be cutting. It's a range between 0 and 10, and the lighter end actually 1 and 10. If it was a number 1, that would be a super soft cheese, or even exaggerate and say Swiss cheese would be a number 1. Number 10 would be possibly a 10-year-old cheddar, and everything in between. And they can just bump this number up or down. If it's a medium cheddar, it's likely going to be a number 5. So they pick that number and they go home and they start cutting. Now, if this is a newer product they're not familiar with, and they see the first time they cut it, it's light or heavy, they just go back to that number. And it says right here, if the cuts are light, lower the number, maybe 1 or 2. If cuts are heavy, raise the number. That's all they need to do. That's what the operators are going to be doing. That's how much they need to know. If they were hoping to have control over the adjustable harp without having it automatically adjust, they can use this temporary override button, and that is found on this first page. If they use that button, now they can use the up and down arrow, and that will change the thickness of the last cut. Now, as far as setting up, when you do a new size that you haven't done before, well, you see we're set up for 8 ounce, 1 pound, and 2 pound. But let's say that we were going to start a new size, and I have some extras here. And of course we program this according to whatever sizes the customer needs, but these are spares right now for this customer. So let's say we want to program a new size. Well, that new size correlates to the first harp. So whatever the first harp is what this designation means. So if we go to A, I picked A, and we'll put that back on 5. But here is where we would set it up. Let's say that the harp was cutting the 11-inch into 3.66. So it was dividing the 11-inch by 3 portions. I just type in 3.66, and let's say it was going to be a square shape, so it's going to be a 3.5. And my target weight we'll say is 1 pound, 1.0. Now I'm going to hit save, and from now on that value will be in there. So you'll see I'll go to 8 ounce, and we'll look at this page, and there's my 8 ounce values. Again, the user doesn't need to go to this page, but this is for setting up. So this is a half pound portion. It's 5.5 by 1 by 0.510. I'll go home and change that to our new A, and we'll see the sizes we just put in there, 3.66 by 3.5 by 1. Now the next time that you push start, it's going to take that size that I put in there, that square shape, and it's going to calculate what it needs to cut at in order to give you exactly 1 pound. So that's how you set up a new size. That's how hard that is. Now let's see what else we have here, because we've shown pretty much everything that the user would ever need to know, except for this. There's 2 different modes for cutting. Really there's 3. On this home page you could leave it on override, and that harp, the second adjustable harp, will never move now. It'll only move if you tell it to move up or down. But if I leave that so that the computer is telling the harp where to be, now I have 2 options. I've got normal, which means it's going to calculate the weight that it thinks that you are looking for, so that like that A size would be 1 pound. It'll calculate how to get 1 pound. If I go to random, now when the block comes to the top of the stroke, it's going to be measured, and the adjustable harp is going to divide the block evenly into however many layers it sees right here. Right now it's 3. I'll touch the number and say 2. Now it'll split the block in half, and the second wire will just skim the surface. So that's how you use random mode. Now if you wanted to run random mode, but you also wanted to trim a little bit off of every block to square it up, you can do that too. We'll just go to the end of our range here, and I'll go to sensors, and this value here where it says 7-inch, you just would go down, down, and now that's 1/10 of an inch times 2. That's 2/10 of an inch lower that the wire will be the next time. So it'll measure the block, and it'll always trim 0.2 inches off the top. So that's how you would set that. This is also how you would calibrate that sensor. If the wire was running a little too high, if it was always 1/10 of an inch over it, well then you would raise it 1 click like that. So that's how you use random mode. So now just a couple of the other features that we see here. Wire space. This is set at a number 2 right now, and you can see what it says here. It says count from the pivot to the first wire. And I'm going to show you how you do that. This is the pivot of the harp. This is what the harp pivots on. So now I'm going to count to the first wire. This would be the first wire location, but there's not a wire station there. It's just an empty hole. So that would have been a 1, but here there is one. 2. 1, 2. That's why we have a 2 here. And so if it was a 1, I would enter 1. And now you can see the range of the harp changes. So that's the sizes that you can get if you have every wire in the whole harp filled up. Now when I have a 2 there, you can see my range is 1.8 to 3.625. So that's how you set up the wire spacing. The touchscreen needs to know what wires are in that harp in order to calculate your size right. Here we have the speed for the cutting cycles. So the vertical is the first stroke that comes up. We're set at 30%. So it's going to go fast until it gets to where it's going to be cutting, and then it's going to slow down to 30% speed. Same for horizontal for right now. I can change it just by touching it and saying 35%. We'll leave it at 30. Here, for cleaning, this can be helpful, and other times you may want to just be able to move the cylinder manually. Well, I can just say I want to clean underneath the cylinder. I can push this button, the cylinder is going to raise, and it's going to stay in the up position as long as it's locked on. You can see that this is a toggle. So if that's locked on, now I can hit the E-stop right here and safely go into the machine, and the cylinder will be up and out of the way, so we'll be able to clean underneath it here, and that can be useful. And then once they're done, they can pull that back out, and they can unlock this and push reset, and it'll come back home. If this is locked, reset will do absolutely nothing. It has to be unlocked. And there we're back to the end. So that's all of the things that we need to know about the programming.